Have you ever wondered what a dictatorship in slow motion looks like? Because honestly, this is what we're living right now. It's not some dramatic movie or dystopian novel. It's real life, unfolding on our news feeds every single day. Donald Trump isn't just losing control over his narrative, he's unraveling, and he's doing it right in front of us, as if it's some kind of spectacle. Defying court orders? Check. Weaponizing propaganda? Double check. And broadcasting his authoritarian fantasies like it's his own personal primetime show? Absolutely. And it's not just random chaos. It feels chaotic, sure, but it's this calculated kind of chaos. It's designed to confuse us, exhaust us, make us tune out. And yet, here we are, watching it happen in real time. While the rest of the country is protesting in the streets, Trump is posting edited memes and torture footage. Yes, actual torture, of migrants sent to brutal camps in El Salvador, and he's doing it right after the Supreme Court told him, enough. And you wonder why grassroots efforts like 5051 are popping up all over the United States. The highest court in the country told Trump to stop the deportations. Not tomorrow, not after an appeal, immediately. So what does Trump do? Posts a meme mocking the ruling and doubles down, sharing brutal videos of ICE handoffs like it's a victory lap. Play this clip.
Those immigrants, or many of them, belong to a Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua. Now, keep in mind, the legality of these deportations is still up in the air. It's still not entirely clear if everyone that was deported belongs to Tren de Aragua. But
this isn't leadership. It's lawless defiance. He's not just ignoring the law. He's laughing in his face. America is not pleased. Look at this poll from Atlas Intel. On immigration, 52% disapproval. On the U.S. economy, 56% disapproval. On national debt, 50% disapproval. On safeguarding democracy, 56% disapproval. On healthcare, 55% disapproval. And on China-U.S. competition, 54% disapproval. You know, I keep saying this, but Trump doesn't even try to hide it anymore. Like in his latest appearance on Fox News, did you see it? He didn't bother with the usual doublespeak or sugarcoating anything. His words were straight out of a dictator's playbook. In the Fox News interview, Trump didn't even pretend anymore. His words, "We didn't need legislation, we need a president." Translation, no Congress, no courts, just him. Play this clip. This isn't...
The border is very, very secure right now. And we didn't need legislation. We needed a president to say, that's it, no more people coming in.
Let's be real. This isn't about immigration. It's about power. Trump wants to rule without oversight. And if you're still on the fence about that, watch the kind of content he's reposting. It's straight up propaganda meant to terrorize and desensitize. And the way he framed it, it was like a badge of honor. Like, sure, I'll break the rules because the rules don't apply to me. It was chilling, honestly. It was this unfiltered admission that he sees laws, institutions, heck, even the will of the people as these pesky obstacles in his way. And let's not forget that he said all of this on a platform that amplifies him, that feeds that propaganda machine he relies on. It's not just one comment on Fox News, it's this constant drumbeat of chaos, and frankly, a disdain for democracy itself. Let's shift gears a little and talk about foreign policy, or more specifically, Trump's foreign policy. Can we even call it a policy? It feels more like just a bunch of sound bites tossed together, and half the time they contradict each other. Remember when Trump said he'd end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours? Was he going to wave a magic wand, call Putin on speed dial, say some secret phrase? The whole idea was, honestly, absurd to begin with. And now, it seems like he's flipped his whole position. In one breath, he's talking about peace and big negotiations. And in the next, he's signaling things that kind of line up with Russian state interests. The only peace plan he offered to Ukraine was total surrender. Give Russia everything it's stolen. Recognize Crimea as a part of Mother Russia. And when that didn't fly, Trump walked out of the talks like a reality show contestant who didn't get a rose. Play this clip.
It's important to remind everybody that the Ukraine war is a terrible thing, but it's not our war. We didn't start it. The United States has been helping Ukraine for over the last 3 years. and we want it to end. But it's not our war. I want everyone to understand that. And the reason why I make that point is the president has spent 87 days at the highest level of his government repeatedly taking efforts to bring this war to an end. We are now reaching a point where we need to decide and determine whether this is even possible or not, which is why we're engaging both sides. As you know, Ambassador 𝐷𝐿 has had not one, not two, but 3 meetings with Vladimir Putin to determine the Russian perspective on this and understand what it would take for them to end it. We, through General 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, myself, and others, have had repeated engagements with the Ukrainians. So we came here yesterday to sort of begin to talk about more specific outlines of what it might take to end the war, to try to figure out very soon, and I'm talking about a matter of days, not a matter of weeks, whether or not this is the war that can be ended. If it can, we're prepared to do whatever we can to facilitate that and make sure that it happens, that it ends in a durable and just way. If it's not possible, if we're so far apart that this is not going to happen, then I think the president's probably at a point where he's going to say, well, we're done. You know, we'll do what we can on the margins. We'll be ready to help whenever you're ready to have peace. But we're not going to continue with this endeavor for weeks and months on end. So we need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about a matter of days, whether or not this is doable over the next few weeks. If it is, we're in. If it's not, then we have other priorities to focus on as well.
Mr. Secretary, Michael Gordon, Wall Street.
He said it would be easy. Instead, it's a joke. He looks weak, uninformed, and completely out of his depth. Because, and here's the thing, it's not just about making grandiose claims for attention. It's about lives, real lives that are at stake here. Ukraine is still fighting, still losing people every single day. And instead of coming up with a coherent strategy, we get this constant seesawing that doesn't add up. Let me start with this. You ever get the feeling someone's trying to rewrite reality while the rest of us are just trying to hold on to the truth? Because, well, that's exactly what's happening here. There's this piece from ProPublica. It's honestly jaw-dropping. It details how, for months now, metadata and sensitive records, stuff that could hold people accountable, are just being wiped out. Like gone, poof, into thin air. And it's not a glitch. It's not some IT error. No, this is deliberate. Documents that could shine a light on deals, corrupt practices, or actions that totally step outside legal bounds, vanished. Look at this excerpt from ProPublica. Trump's quietly gutting the systems that hold him accountable. No more public health data. Climate change stats, scrubbed, drug use tracking, paused, maternal mortality reports, gone. Why? Because if there's no data, there's no evidence of failure. It's not policy. It's cover-up. And while we're here, federal spending up, government salaries also up. So much for the small government lie. But here's the kicker. And you might want to sit down for this one. The same folks responsible for destroying this data, they're out here spinning the most ridiculous narratives, trying to convince us that it's for security or to save taxpayer dollars. I mean, really. Security, when the files mysteriously vanish right before they get subpoenaed? The gaslighting it's staggering, honestly. And you know what gaslighting does to all of us? It makes us doubt what's even true anymore. Like one day, you're reading reports on missing White House call logs, and the next, they're telling us those weren't important anyway. Meanwhile, nothing adds up, but they're so loud about it, so convincingly bold, that people start second-guessing what they've seen with their own eyes. It's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. And here's why. Without data, there is no accountability or record of failure. All right, let's talk eggs for a second. Yes, eggs, because apparently that's where we are now. Recently, Donald Trump told reporters, and I swear you can't even make this up, that egg prices are too low. Too low. Like, you all have too many eggs. We need to raise prices. What? Play this clip.
Are down. Groceries are down. Eggs, which you hit me so hard, I'll never forget the first week in office, they were screaming at me about eggs. What's going on with eggs? They were doubling and tripling. I said, I just got here. They were up like double, triple, and you couldn't get any. They said, you won't have eggs for Easter. Well, you can have all the eggs you want. I'll tell you, Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture, did a great job. and the egg prices are down 87%. But nobody talks about that. You can have all the eggs you want. We have too many eggs. In fact, if anything, the prices are getting too low. So I just want to let you know, prices are down. Gasoline.
I mean, think about the sheer disconnect here. Most folks are, buying groceries and watching prices skyrocket. Milk, bread, you name it. And then here comes Trump, suggesting that we're drowning in cheap eggs. It's completely upside down. It's like he's living in this alternate reality where the solutions to real problems don't even make sense. That's not spin. That's fantasy land. But honestly, let's go deeper here. It's not just an offhand comment, because these kinds of statements, this blatant disregard for economic reality, they're designed to grab headlines, distract us. They make us stop and go, wait, did he actually say that? And then before we know it, we're debating eggs while something way more critical is happening in the background. So when we hear things like this, these absurd comments about egg prices or whatever else, it's not just nonsense. It's part of this bigger pattern of creating chaos, muddying the water so the important stuff gets buried. Meanwhile, markets are unstable. Global allies are distancing themselves, and the U.S. is being described internationally as capricious and authoritarian. He's not rebuilding America. He's burning its credibility down. Barron recently reported that a global rebalancing is well underway as investors sell off U.S. bonds. Why is this important? This is an indication that the U.S. dollar is no longer retaining its value. At this rate, the U.S. dollar will have about the same value as a Venezuelan bolivar, which is worth about 14 cents. All right, let's dive into something that's kind of flown under the radar, but is honestly terrifying when you break it down. Project 2025. Yeah, I'm talking about Trump's plan to remake the federal government in his image, almost literally. If you're not familiar, it's all about revamping the civil service system. The crown jewel, Schedule F. Now, here's the thing about Schedule F. It sounds harmless, maybe even boring at first glance. But what it really means is stripping away civil service protections, things that currently prevent presidents from firing federal employees on a whim. We're talking about folks who've dedicated their entire careers to public service, to upholding the Constitution, to keeping the government running smoothly, and replacing them with loyalists. Yes, loyalists. People who would prioritize Trump's agenda over the rule of law. And look, we're not just talking about a few jobs here. Schedule F could impact thousands of positions, potentially 2% of the federal workforce, or about 50,000 people. Imagine that. That's a massive chunk of institutional knowledge and expertise just gone, swept away because it doesn't align with Trump's vision of loyalty or compliance, depending on how you look at it. And it's already in motion. From NOAA to the Forest Service to the CDC agencies are all being hollowed out, not for inefficiency, but for control. But, and this is important, it's not just about trimming bureaucracy. This is about consolidating power. Because when you surround yourself with yes people, when every department is staffed by individuals who won't push back, who won't say, wait, that's illegal, or that undermines democracy, then you're not leading, you're ruling. It's authoritarianism, pure and simple. But here's the thing, they didn't count on pushback. They didn't think anyone would stand up, expose the lies, and demand accountability. And yet, that's exactly what's happening. We're seeing judges who are not afraid to hold Trump's team to the fire, issuing rulings that, honestly, no one ever thought they'd have to issue against a president. Communities are mobilizing, activists are louder than ever, and citizens are waking up to what's at stake. It's like this growing wave of defiance against this calculated chaos they're pushing on us. And it's not just in the streets, it's in the courts, in the media, in conversations happening around dinner tables. People aren't buying into the narrative that they're powerless or that this is just the way things are now. No, folks are pushing back, and they're doing it in ways that honestly seem to be catching Trump and his allies off guard. I mean, just look at the legal challenges mounting against him. From New York to Georgia, the system he's tried to bend to his will is finally standing up and saying, enough. It's created this shift, almost like the air has changed. When people see that resistance works, when they realize they're not alone in fighting this, it only grows stronger. So yes, the resistance is real. It's messy, it's imperfect, but it's there. And the more they try to double down on controlling the narrative, the louder and clearer the pushback becomes. But here's the part they don't want you to hear. The pushback is working. Senators are stepping up. Citizens are marching. Courts are drawing lines. And Trump, he's resorting to memes and lies because he's scared. He can break things, but he can't build a coalition or a majority or even a functioning administration. The only thing he's mastered is chaos. And America's waking up. This isn't normal. It's not funny. And it's definitely not just Trump being Trump. What we're watching here, it's an authoritarian on the ropes, fighting tooth and nail to drag the entire country down with him. And here's the thing. Some folks, I think, have started treating this as background noise. It's like the headlines get more outrageous and we just kind of tune them out, thinking, oh, it's just another day in the chaos circus. But no, it's not. This is deliberate. Every move, every meltdown, every court-defying stunt is all a calculated attempt to make us numb to the madness, to exhaust us, to wear us down. But we can't afford to get tired. Not now, not when so much is at stake. Because if there's one thing we should have all learned by now, it's that democracy is not some autopilot system. It needs people, regular people like you and me, engaged, informed, and honestly willing to fight for it. Because if we don't, well, we've seen what happens when power goes unchecked, when lies aren't challenged, and when chaos becomes the norm. All right, folks, that wraps up today's episode of The Real 411. And I want to take a second to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Seriously, your support, your engagement, your willingness to be informed, it matters. It's what keeps, independent voices like ours alive and thriving. If you found value in what we've talked about today, please don't just take it in, share it. Drop a comment, follow us on social media, tell a friend, heck, tell 10 friends, and hey, sign up for our newsletter. It's where you get all the updates, the things you won't find in the headlines, or honestly, that algorithm everyone's trying to crack. And if you believe in media that digs a little deeper, that isn't afraid to question the narrative or call out the chaos, you can support us on Substack, on Fanbase. We've got free and paid options. So, whatever you can give, it helps. Whether it's $1 or just sharing the content, every bit of it makes a difference. But more than anything, remember this. The story is never just the headline. And the fight for truth, that's not a someday thing. That's an everyday, moment by moment thing. It's about staying informed, staying bold, and yes, staying real. So on that note, we'll see you next time. Thank you truly for being a part of this journey. Until next time, take care.